Hey, this is Mark, and you're welcome to AUTOSAYS. You're sitting at a red light in your reliable 2015 sedan, the one that's paid off, runs perfectly, and gets you everywhere you need to go, when a brand new luxury SUV pulls up beside you, gleaming under the sun with chrome that could blind you, and suddenly you feel it, that uncomfortable knot in your stomach, that whisper in the back of your mind saying you're not keeping up, you're falling behind, you look broke. If you've ever felt that feeling, smash that like button right now, because you're not alone, and what I'm about to tell you is going to completely change how you see every car payment you've ever made or ever will make. Now stick around until the end of this video, because I'm going to reveal the exact psychological trick that car companies have been using since the 1920s to make you feel like you need that new car. And trust me, once you see it, you'll never look at a car dealership the same way again. So hit that subscribe button, because we're about to dive deep into the hidden forces that shape what you drive, why you drive it, and what it says about who you really are, or at least who you think you need to be. Let's be honest here. When did your car stop being just a way to get from point A to point B and start becoming a billboard for your entire life's success? Here's the wild part. This wasn't always the case. Go back to the early 1900s, and a car was a luxury item that only the wealthy could afford, something like owning a private jet today. Totally out of reach for normal folks. Then Henry Ford came along with his Model T in 1908 and changed everything by making cars affordable through mass production. And suddenly, average Americans could own a vehicle. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is where the whole game changed forever. In the 1920s, General Motors figured out something that Ford missed completely, something so powerful it would reshape American culture for the next 100 years. Ford was happy selling you one car that would last forever. The Model T came in one color, black, and it was built to run until the wheels fell off. GM's president, Alfred Sloan, thought that was leaving money on the table, so he invented something called planned obsolescence and the yearly model change. Every single year, GM would release new models with different styles, new features, updated looks, and suddenly your perfectly good car from last year looked old and outdated. Can you see what's happening here? They weren't just selling transportation anymore. They were selling status, identity, and the fear of being left behind. And here's the kicker. To make sure everyone could participate in this yearly upgrade cycle, GM created GMAC, the General Motors Acceptance Corporation, in 1919, which was one of the first major auto financing companies. Before this, you saved up and bought your car with cash, but now you could drive that shiny new status symbol home today and pay for it over time. The monthly payment was born, and with it, an entirely new way of thinking about what you could afford. But wait, because here's where your brain starts playing tricks on you, and this is crucial to understand. When you pay cash for something, let's say $15,000, your brain feels that pain immediately. It's real, it's visceral. You watch that money leave your account and you feel it in your gut. But when someone says only $499 a month, suddenly that same $15,000 car feels manageable, feels reasonable, feels like something you can handle. The total price gets hidden behind the monthly number, and your brain stops doing the math. Dealers know this, which is why the first question they ask isn't "what's your budget?" It's "what monthly payment works for you?" They're speaking directly to that part of your brain that wants to minimize pain and maximize the feeling of affordability. Now, fast forward to today, and we're living in the golden age of car payments, and I mean that in the most terrifying way possible. The average new car payment in America right now is hovering around $740 per month, and the average loan term has stretched to nearly 70 months. That's almost 6 years of payments for a depreciating asset. Let that sink in for a second. 6 years of your life making payments on something that loses value the moment you drive it off the lot. And here's the scary part that nobody talks about. According to recent data, nearly 15% of new car loans are for terms of 84 months or longer. That's 7 years. You could literally pay off a small mortgage in that time, but instead you're paying off something that'll be worth a fraction of what you paid the moment you make that final payment, if you even make it to the final payment before trading it in for the next one. But Mark, you might be saying, I need a reliable car. I need something that won't break down. I need to look professional for my job. And you know what? I hear you. Those are valid concerns. But here's the truth bomb that's going to sting a little. That story you're telling yourself about needing that new car, that's not really about reliability or professionalism. It's about fear, pure and simple fear of being judged, of being seen as less than, of fear of looking broke. And the car companies know this fear intimately because they've spent billions of dollars over the past century studying it, refining it, and exploiting it. Think about car commercials for just a moment. Do they ever talk about monthly payments adding up to tens of thousands of dollars? Do they ever show you the total cost of ownership? Do they ever mention that you'll be underwater on your loan for the first 3 years? Never. Instead, they show you beautiful people living beautiful lives, pulling up to impressive places, turning heads, commanding respect. And the message is crystal clear. This car equals success, equals desirability, equals worth. Your current car, the one you're driving right now, equals none of those things, and you should feel bad about it. Now, here's where the history gets really fascinating, because this whole concept of cars as identity didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was carefully constructed. In the 1950s and 60s, as American suburbs exploded and car ownership became nearly universal, manufacturers realized they couldn't compete on function alone anymore. Because functionally, most cars did the same thing. They got you where you needed to go. So they started competing on something else entirely: aspiration. Cadillac became the symbol of having made it, of success achieved. Chevrolet was positioned as the practical family choice, reliable and affordable. Pontiac was exciting and youthful. Each brand, each model was carefully marketed to represent a specific identity, a specific social position, and Americans bought into it completely, literally bought into it with monthly payments that kept them locked into the system. And you want to know the most devious part of this whole setup? The system is specifically designed to keep you perpetually in debt. Here's how it works, and pay attention because this is where the trap really snaps shut. You finance a new car for 6 years at, let's say, $45,000. Within 2 years, you owe more on the car than it's worth because of depreciation. This is called being upside down or underwater on your loan. Then the car companies start advertising the hot new models, and that fear creeps back in, that feeling that your car is already outdated, already yesterday's news. So what do? You trade it in, even though you're underwater. The dealer rolls that negative equity into your next loan. You're now financing not just the new car, but also the remaining debt from the old car. And your loan gets bigger, your term gets longer, and the cycle continues. Some people stay trapped in this cycle their entire adult lives, perpetually making car payments, never owning anything outright, always chasing that feeling of having the right car, the respectable car, the car that says they're not broke. But here's what's really happening behind the scenes with your money, and these numbers are going to shock you. Let's say you're 25 years old and you decide to always have a car payment of $600 per month for the next 40 years until you retire at 65. That's $600 times 12 months times 40 years, which equals $288,000 in payments alone, not even counting interest. Now, if instead you took that same $600 per month and invested it in a basic index fund earning an average of 8% annual return, which is historically conservative for the stock market, after 40 years, you'd have over $2 million. Read that again, $2 million versus a garage of memories of cars you don't own anymore. The difference between looking successful and actually being successful often comes down to this one choice: paying for the appearance or building the reality. Now, some of you are thinking, okay, Mark, I get it, but I'm not going to drive a beater, I have standards. And that's fair, you absolutely should have standards. But here's the thing, there's a massive middle ground between driving a falling apart rust bucket and signing up for a 7-year loan on a brand new luxury vehicle. That middle ground is where actual wealth gets built. It's where you buy slightly used, pay cash, or finance for short terms, drive it for 10 years and invest the difference. It's not sexy, it won't turn heads at the country club, but it's how regular people become millionaires while looking completely ordinary. And this is where we need to talk about what your car actually says about you, because plot twist, it doesn't say what you think it says. When you pull up in that brand new $80,000 pickup truck with the massive monthly payment, you know what wealthy people think? They think that person has an expensive truck payment. That's it. They don't think you're successful, they don't think you're wealthy, they think you're spending money you probably don't have to impress people who don't care. Meanwhile, the actual millionaire next door, the one who's been quietly investing for decades, is driving a 7-year-old sedan that's paid off, and they're not worried about what anyone thinks because their net worth does the talking, even though it's talking silently in the background while everyone else is making noise with their payments. Here's a mind-blowing statistic for you. Studies show that most people who drive luxury cars don't actually own them. They're leasing them or financing them, and many of them have negative net worths when you add up all their debts versus their assets.
The guy in the modest Toyota? There's a decent chance he's a multi-millionaire who just doesn't feel the need to prove anything to strangers at traffic lights. The entire game is backwards from what we've been taught to believe, and that's intentional, because if everyone realized that true wealth whispers while poverty shouts, the entire car industry's marketing strategy would collapse overnight. So what's the answer here? What's the way out of this psychological trap that's been set for us over the past 100 years? It starts with a simple but brutal truth. Your car is not your identity. Your car is not your worth. Your car is not a measure of your success. Your car is a tool, a depreciating tool that gets you from one place to another. And the moment you truly internalize that truth, you become free from the fear of looking broke, because you'll realize that actually being broke, which is what happens when you're buried in car payments, is far worse than looking broke. The wealthiest people I've ever met understood this instinctively. They bought cars they could afford. They kept them running forever, they invested the difference, and now they have actual freedom, not the fake freedom of a nice car with 6 more years of payments attached to it. Look, I'm not saying you should never enjoy your money or never buy a nice car, but I am saying you should do it when you can actually afford it, when the payment doesn't stress you out, when you have investments growing in the background, when your net worth supports your lifestyle instead of your lifestyle destroying your net worth. The fear of looking broke has cost Americans trillions of dollars in wealth over the past century, trillions that went to car companies, finance companies, and insurance companies instead of into the pockets and investment accounts of regular people who just wanted to feel respected and successful. And here's your final wake-up call, the thing I promised you at the beginning that changes everything. The trick car companies have been using since the 1920s is this. They convinced you that the car you drive is who you are, and once you believed that lie, they could sell you anything at any price with any terms because you weren't buying transportation anymore. You were buying identity, and people will pay anything, sacrifice anything to feel like there's someone worth respecting. But the secret that free people know is this. You already are someone worth respecting, with or without the fancy car. And the moment you believe that, truly believe that, is the moment you stop being a victim of manufactured fear and start building actual wealth and actual freedom. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you feel that knot in your stomach sitting at a red light next to someone in a nicer car, remember this video. Remember that they might be drowning in debt while you're building wealth. Remember that your worth isn't determined by the badge on your hood. And remember that the best revenge against a system designed to keep you broke is to refuse to play the game by their rules. If this video opened your eyes to something you'd never considered before, do me a favor and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below telling me what you drive and whether you're proud of that choice or rethinking it now. And most importantly, subscribe to AUTOSAYS because we're going to keep pulling back the curtain on the automotive industry's biggest secrets and helping you make decisions based on facts instead of fear. This is Mark reminding you that the road to real wealth doesn't require a new car. It just requires you to think differently about the one you already have. And I'll see you in the next one.